Hi. So last night I watched a film called 2001: A Space Odyssey. It's a very popular film. I finished it, and the first thing that I thought when I was finished watching it was, what did I just watch? And what was the writer on when he wrote it? But it was one of those experiences where it was like, I didn't get it necessarily, but I could see its brilliance, and I could see the fact that there was something special about it. And a lot of that came from the writing style. I mean, the visual effects for the time were phenomenal. I mean, especially whenever you consider the fact that the film began production in 1665, which is insane. But I mean, the writing, there's barely any dialogue in the movie, and there's so much visual storytelling, and that is a skill. That is a skill of which the writers should be compensated for. After finishing 2001: A Space Odyssey, I was watching it with my dad, and we were talking about it, trying to figure out, trying to process what happened, because he had seen it before when he was a kid. He watched it again later in his life, still didn't get it as much, but this time it was like there was a lot going on, a lot of discussion. He was trying to help me get what just happened. While discussing, I noticed because we have Fire Stick, so it's like, the thing at the top where it's like it goes through a bunch of advertisements for movies and stuff like that. Well, I noticed that this time there were barely any films or television shows or anything. It was basically all reality TV. And that reminded me of 2008, when there was a writer's strike, and that was whenever reality TV had its big boom. That's whenever The Bachelor, The Bachelorette, The Kardashians, stuff like that really, really just blew up. I don't even think The Kardashians was there, but I know stuff like The Bachelor and Bachelorette, that was big. That was when reality TV really, really just hit us in the balls. And I noticed that was happening again. And I remember previously my dad mentioning a writer's strike. And I asked him, hey, is there another writer's strike? And I didn't know about this. Apparently this has been around for a few months. Apparently there is. And I just thought, because I myself am an aspiring writer, I thought it would be a cool idea to just sort of get my thoughts out on the whole issue. Now, just a little explanation of myself. Obviously, I normally talk about video games and do sketch comedy stuff over on a different channel. A lot of people don't know about me is that I'm not only an aspiring film writer, but also actor and director. And I love film ever since I was a kid. I've always been a storyteller. I mentioned this in my last video, my top 10 favorite games of 2022. I mentioned that, when I was a kid, I never played with Legos and stuff. I created stories, basically. And in fact, I took a Western Thought and Culture class, a dual enrollment course, and one of the assignments was something called a passion project. And I basically had to do something, whether it be a song, a short film, poetry, I don't know, just something to sort of embody the ideals and mindset that you grew up around. And I wrote a short film. It's called The Little Triangle. I will leave it in the description if you want to read it. It does have because the college was actually a religious college, it does have an underlying religious theme. So if that triggers you or something, then just don't read it. Don't read something that will upset you. But hey, if you're not bothered by it, then go right ahead. If you want to see what my writing style is, then yeah, go right ahead. I also am currently writing a television show, which is kind of planning to be my magnum opus. Whenever I found out about the writer's strike, it was kind of freaky. It was a jump scare. It was oh God, because whenever you have you've had a dream since you were 4. To just tell stories, and you're told that there is a very high chance that you won't be able to make a living off of that dream. It's kind of freaky. It's a little bit scary. I'm genuinely I had anxiety. I was what if I don't get to make the thing that I want to, not only the thing that the big thing, the show that I was telling you about, but what if I don't get to make anything else? What if I just stop creating and I can't make a living off of it and I have to do something else? That's freaky to me. I knew about the writer's strike, and I didn't realize how big it was until he told me that the actors have also gone on strike. Sure, why not? Specifically, the cast of Oppenheimer. For those of you who don't know what Oppenheimer is, it is a Christopher Nolan film, just came out, about a nuclear physicist. Other than the Barbie movie, which, it's the biggest movie of July. And the cast of Oppenheimer, at the premiere, as soon as the clock struck midnight, they got up and walked out. Those are some big names. Those are big names, specifically Cillian Murphy and Emily Blunt. For a long time, writers have not been properly compensated for the work that they do, especially in cinema. The movie can't be made without the writer, without the script. The big thing is AI. I recently tried downloading an app called Poe or something just to see if the AI is any good. So I just downloaded the app and typed it. I'm like, okay, write a sketch about this, and then these are the characters. This is what happens. Bam. When I tell you, I said to write a comedy sketch. It was the least comedic thing I've ever had the displeasure of reading. If AI takes over writing, we're going to see a wave of garbage, of just utter garbage. A voice actor I follow named Joe Zicha. I don't know how you pronounce his last name, which is really unfortunate because I really like this guy. He made a video where he kind of explained that voice acting is in danger because of AI. Because, I mean, you can so easily replicate the voices, because I mean AI is becoming so advanced, and so it's becoming better in terms of replicating things, and you can very easily replicate a celebrity's voice. Like, if you want a guy that sounds like Jesse Eisenberg, but you can't get Jesse Eisenberg, normally you have to go looking for a voice actor that has the voice that you're looking for. But now you can just use AI to replicate Jesse Eisenberg's voice. So it's both writers and voice actors, and actors in general, they're in danger. I mean, even then, actors, I mean, you can very easily, deep fakes. A lot of people underestimate how much work goes into writing, because I've done it before. I mean, my short story, or rather my short film, The Little Triangle, is only like 8 or 9 pages. It could be long. I can't remember. It's been a long time since I think it's like, let me check actually. It might have been like 16. It's somewhere between 20 and 0. In a book called Screenplay by Sid Field. I highly recommend, if you're interested in writing, to read it. It's a very, very good tool that you can actually use. Sid Field stated that usually a page of a screenplay is equivalent to 1 minute of a film. For reference, mine is like 8 minutes then, because mine is like 8 pages, somewhere between there. It's at the most 16 minutes. Most films are over 2 hours. For reference, that is over, at the very least, over 120 pages. I had a week to write it, basically. There was no breaks. It was literally just sitting down, writing it, eating, sleeping, and that's it. A lot of work goes into writing, and even a short film, it was a week nonstop, because like a lot of people don't, like, the writers come up with the ideas, they have to make the characters, they have to make it all work. Writing, it's like a puzzle. I mean, writing is easy if you write bad stuff, but to write something good is honestly, it's on the same level as making the actual movie itself in terms of difficulty. My take on the situation is very simple. As somebody who is an aspiring writer, I am angry because I know how hard it is to write something. I know how hard it is to write something. People are saying that this is probably going to last until at the least November, which is very concerning. Like, the CEO of Disney or something like came out and was like kind of victimizing himself. He's like, "Oh, why are you guys being so greedy?" and stuff like that. Like, shut up. Like, the guy, like, no, like, really? The dude has, like, I can't remember what his salary, what is the salary for the CEO of Disney? It's at least, like, 30 million. Oh, it basically was 30 million. It was 27. Dude. So a guy who makes $27 million a year. 27, okay, the average individual, like, the average writer, get this, makes $35,000 a year. You're so greedy. Dude, you make guy. Oh my god, I can't. 27 million a year. 27 million a year. And he's calling people that only make 35,000 a year greedy. Keep in mind, that probably doesn't include living expenses, because I mean, the dude, I mean, he probably has like people in his group that pay for his, like, his you know, the food, the water, like, stuff like that. That is probably just spending money. Let's be real here. And I mean, like, that's, oh my god. Let me just get this out of the way. Do I think writers should be paid fairly? Yes. I don't know how anybody would have a different take than that. Do I think writers do more for the movie than maybe even the director? No, that guy, I won't go that far. I do the right, kind of. I mean, the writer, I mean, you cannot have a movie without a script. And, you know, you would think that, you know, I'm sure a lot of you watching this are like, yeah, that just makes sense. Well, apparently a lot of other people seem to not think that it makes sense. And a lot of other people are angry at the writers and are victimizing the big CEO people. And you know what's funny? Those are the same people that are constantly complaining about the corporation hierarchy. Sure, why not? So it's only when it's the right, oh my god, they're constantly, oh, corporations, they're so evil, out to get it. And then whenever it actually happens, it's like, oh no, yeah, no, they're cool this time. Sure. Yeah. A lot of people on social media have been basically coming to like I said, to like the CEO's defense and stuff like that. And have been saying that the writers are the ones in the wrong and saying that the script is actually not that important. Name your favorite movie of all time. Just go right ahead. Just do it. Favorite movie of all time. Favorite moment. That moment would not have happened without a script. I don't care what moment you say. You say, oh, well, my favorite part in the movie was a visual part. Remember in The Last Jedi, whenever that starship goes like really fast through the other starships. That thing. Yeah. That was written into a script. The only reason Rian Johnson knew what to do is because, and I'm pretty sure Rian Johnson wrote The Last Jedi. Let me check. Hold on. Did Rian Johnson write it? I'm pretty sure he did. So the only reason he knew what to do is because he came up with it. He wrote it. He wrote it into the script, and he was like, okay, I'm going to do this. And now that I have a skeleton of what I want to happen, I can add things around that skeleton to make a scene. Can a person live without a skeleton? No, they can't. I mean, not for long. I mean without any skeleton. Can an individual live with a crappy skeleton? Yes, but that person, and when I say crappy, I mean like bones. Bones are super unhealthy. I mean, very frail, very just not very calciated, milky. The person can live, yeah, probably, but it's gonna be much harder for that person to live, and that's what I'm saying. I mean, with a good script, a movie can stand still. Like, even the worst movies that are visually they suck, the acting sucks, at the very least they can be saved by a good script. No movie with a bad script can be saved. And the fact that there are genuinely people that legitimately believe that writers don't actually do that much for movies is baffling to me. The idea that writers don't do anything for movies, that is the equivalent of saying that an architect doesn't do anything for a house. And I mean, if you're saying that the writers are being petty and greedy because they don't get enough money, keep in mind, writers don't get paid that often because they go through seasons where they're not able to sell scripts. I mean, the takes that writers don't do anything and that they shouldn't be mad and that they should just suck it up and keep writing for us. I think that's frustration coming from the fact that you know that for a time the stuff that you like to watch, it's not going to be there. I think that's where it comes from. Why? Like, what do you think you're going to gain from saying something like that? Do you think you're going to some writer's going to read this and be like, oh man, I guess I should just suck it up. My final thing, I guess, is if you're against the writers and you think the writers are in the wrong here, just please try to understand this. Not even from because obviously you can't. One, think of it from a current writer's perspective. You are a engineer. You build the exoskeleton of the car. You're the reason the car works. You're the only reason the car works. You're the reason that it's able to function, able to turn on, able to actually drive, stop, brake, all of that. You created the thing. And then other people come in and they put on the doors, they paint it a pretty color, they make it look nice. You get a significantly lower paycheck than them. Just think of it like that. Think of it from that perspective. The person who built the exoskeleton of the car should obviously be paid more because that person's the reason the car works. And I'm not saying that the writers should be paid more than the directors and stuff like that, but I mean, I'm saying they should get paid a lot more than what they are right now. And from the perspective, ending it off, I mean, obviously from the perspective of an aspiring writer, somebody who genuinely, truly wants to do this for a living, wants to write stories, tell stories, I mean, it's scary. I mean, those of you who did sit through this and watch it, thank you. For those of you who, think that I'm just being an idiot, a petty idiot who just wants more money, I'm not getting paid for this. I'm not getting paid. I don't get paid for my writing. So there's no reason why I would be greedy. I'm just simply thinking of it from the perspective of hard work should reap. And so, if you work hard, there should be at least a reward to compensate for that hard work, or at least from a business perspective. From a moral perspective, that's different, but from a business perspective, I think that the hardest working people, or rather even the people that contribute the most to a project, should be paid fairly. So hopefully you can see things from the perspective of the writers a little bit better now. Maybe, for all I know, this could have been completely useless. I mean, either way, it was a way for me to get out my thoughts and sort of, not necessarily rant, but kind of rants to the camera. So that's it. I will say this isn't the only videos coming out. I do have another video coming out. But yeah, just wanted to get this out.